All right, what is up, guys? Today I'm finally going to do my Savatage album ranking video, and I actually planned on doing this like a month ago. I just got lazy and busy, and I thought, these subscribers are taking so long to get built up. But then I got several all at once, and I told you the story in my last video about this kid named Jonathan Guerra. And he's been really watching my videos and getting into some bands, and I thought, well, you know what, if I can make somewhat of a difference, I'll keep doing this. So today is going to be Savatage. I'm going to do this a little bit different. Instead of doing like a split screen and showing the CD and all that stuff, I just got all of my Savatage CDs next to me in a box, and I'm just going to hold them up and talk about them. And it actually makes the video a lot easier to upload and edit. I don't have to do really anything. So talk about lazy. Well, I don't have a ton of time to do this stuff, so I kind of have to do it, in a quicker manner so I can get them done. But let's see, how many albums does Savatage have? Let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, I'm counting 12 albums. And so let's just start. Well, first I'll give you a little background with me and Savatage. I discovered them a long time ago. I remember seeing online Hall the Mountain King album cover when I was looking up new bands. I remember thinking it was cool. Had no idea what it was. My friend Dave had Hall the Mountain King on cassette tape, and when I was about 17 years old, 17, 18, he showed it to me. I thought it was awesome. I went and bought it. There was this CD store at the Edinburgh, Indiana Mall called Music for a Song, and I bought that there. Also remember buying my first Metal Church album there. That's the first self-titled album there. So I bought that and Hall the Mountain King. Definitely some notable albums I bought from there. But I'm going to tell you something. Hall the Mountain King, I was obsessed with. I remember I just wanted to listen to that like every day. I was obsessed with it. So anyway, let's start with my least favorite. And this is probably no surprise. Fight for the Rock. This will be number 12. This album is kind of like a step towards commercialism. This isn't the Savatage that, from the first couple albums. Sounds like they were kind of talked into to do this album, and it almost ruined Savatage to the point where they were all about to pretty much disband. And if it wasn't for Paul O'Neill, who came along and helped them out and wanted to produce their next album, they really would have disbanded. John Oliva was actually trying out to sing for Black Sabbath, and Chris Oliva was trying out for another band. I can't remember quite offhand what it was, but yeah. So, and the music here, it's not entirely bad. There's probably about 3 or 4 songs that really sound like Savatage, but it's kind of a bland record for the most part. To me, the production's not even that good, really, for a sellout album. This whole thing just kind of felt like a disaster. And John Oliva, he always calls this album Fight for the Nightmare, which I guess that's kind of what it was. And there's a few covers on this song, and this is one of those albums I don't know a ton about because I just don't care for it that much. But I don't remember what the covers were and who they covered. I always forget. But yeah, it's definitely by far the least interesting, my least favorite Savatage. So now let's go to number 11. Some people might disagree with this. Streets. This album, I don't know why, I never really want to listen to this that often, and it's not actually that bad, or it's not even really bad. I just I don't know what it is. It's just not one of my favorites. So this was their first album that was supposed to be kind of like a rock opera, like a total rock opera. The whole thing's a concept album. The story for Streets was actually Paul O'Neill. I guess like Chris Oliva or somebody found a Broadway play that Paul O'Neill wrote and never like did anything with. You know, he was like, he wrote it for like make like a Broadway play out of it, and I guess Chris Oliva or somebody found it and it's like, dude, let's make an album out of this. So that's what they did, and it's good. I just don't think a lot of the songs are, I don't know. It's like I got to be in the mood for it. I don't know what it is. There's nothing wrong with it. It's good. I just got to be in the mood for it. It still sort of has that late 80s Savatage kind of vibe to it, but just a little more rock opera-like, which I generally like the rock opera sound. But this one, I don't know. This one I take to the least out of a lot of their albums. Number 10. Hold on a sec. There we go. Number 10. The last Savatage album that was ever released. Poets and Madmen. There's nothing wrong with this album. I like it. I just, for some reason, there's just something about it that doesn't blow my mind. It's solid. It's super solid. John Oliva's back on vocals, which he stopped doing vocals for a long time, except for like a couple songs per album. And they had Zach Stevens, who actually started on the album Edge of Thorns. So, and I like Zach Stevens, but to me, John Oliva should be the vocalist because he is the voice of Savatage for me. And but no, this is good heavy Savatage with, you know, still got some of that piano stuff in there, which I actually really like when John Oliva throws that stuff in there. Songs are good. I, for some odd reason, still don't reach for this album very much, and it's not because it's bad. It's just, I don't know. There's just other ones I want to listen to a little more. Number 9, Handful of Rain. So basically, this was the first Savatage album after Chris Oliva was tragically killed by a drunk driver. This is basically a John Oliva solo album, really. I mean, you know, I always knew John Oliva was a talented guy, but I didn't know he was this talented. He actually did about pretty much everything on this album except for lead guitars, like for like the solos. He did rhythm guitar. He played drums. He keyboards. I think he did bass. Sang on it, or not? Didn't sing on it, but I'll take that. I don't know why I said that. Zach Stevens sang on it, but he asked Alex Skolnick or something. Originally, he wanted somebody else to be on it. I can't remember. It was somebody that Chris Oliva really liked. I can't remember exactly who it was, but they ended up getting Alex Skolnick, who left Testament, and did a phenomenal job. This is a really, really good album. It's not one of the most heavier, it's not one of the more heavier Savatage albums, but the first song starts off, Taunting Cobras is definitely one of the heaviest Savatage albums ever written, but the rest of it is kind of a mixed bag of hard rock, metal, and rock opera type stuff. I believe it's the song Chance that John Oliva said was like the true start, the origins of Trans-Siberian Orchestra. And for all you that don't know, Savatage became pretty much Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Like, it wasn't like a name change, but it pretty much, you know, John Oliva's, well, the band's like priorities kind of switched over to that because I guess they really didn't make a whole lot of money off Savatage, and, you know, Trans-Siberian Orchestra blew up. So, yeah. But no, this is a good album. A very, very lonely album for John Oliva, but it's pretty good. It's It's not one of the most over-the-top amazing ones, but it's really solid, and there's some songs I really, really like on this one. So, there's that. Number 8. I'm going to have to go with Dead Winter Dead. Funny enough, a lot of the albums, like, post Gutter Ballet, I've kind of ignored for some reason. I don't know why. I just, like, every couple of years I'll dig into them, but I actually, this year, I really started getting into them even more. Like, I kind of got a newfound respect. It's like it's taken me a long time to really appreciate these things. But again, it's a lot of Trans-Siberian Orchestra type stuff in this. It's also a concept album, very much rock opera. As a matter of fact, they even put one of their Trans-Siberian Orchestra songs on here, which originally I think was put on here. Christmas Eve, something, blah, blah, blah. It's track 12, but yeah, so that's kind of interesting. It's a really good album. It's got Zach Stevens. It's actually a pretty epic album, and still fairly heavy in its own right, even if a lot of it's just more of a rock type of sound. But I really, really started to appreciate this album more and more over time. So, pretty good stuff. 10, 9, 8, 7. I don't want to lose count here. 7, I am going with Power of the Night. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why you putting this so low on the list? Because this is classic Savatage. Well, let me explain. I think this album's really good. It starts off great. The song Power of the Night. And by the way, this is the first album on my list that actually has Chris Oliva on it. But the song Power of the Night is fantastic. That kicks off with one of the best Savatage songs probably in their catalog. The second track, Unusual, also probably one of the best songs in their catalog. And I feel like a lot of the songs on here start getting, I don't hate me, but a little bit generic, even if they are good. Like Warriors is good, just a little bit bland. Necrophilia, Washed Out, Hard for Love's kind of a commercial sounding song. Fountain of Youth, Skull Session, Stuck on You, and The Dream. I mean, they're all good, but I would say the only songs that I go nuts over are the first two, and the rest of them I really, really like. But, you know, so I like the album. I just feel like they have better, you know, slightly better albums. But, let's see here. Are we on number 6? Edge of Thorns. This was Chris Oliva's last album. Unfortunately, it was probably, months after this album when Chris Oliva was killed, unfortunately. But let me tell you something. He ended with a bang, because this is a really, really good album. As far as guitar work goes, this is probably his most guitar-oriented, craziest album as far as, like, just, you know, showy guitar work. And the songs are good, too. I really like about every song on here. There's a couple of ballady songs that I don't like as much, but, you know, this whole thing's pretty dang good. Edge of Thorns, He Carves a Stone, Lights Out, Scraggy's Tomb. I mean, I don't know. The whole thing's pretty good. The song Damien was always one of my favorites. Degrees of Sanity. Yeah, I don't know. It's really, really cool. And it's the first album to have Zach Stevens on it, which I don't know if I completely understand the reason why John backed out. I listened to this really, really great interview from John Oliva that was, like, really long. And had something to do with, like, I think, don't quote me on this, like, it was like the Image. I guess the label was getting ready to drop them, and I guess, you know, John Oliva was probably too metal, so they got this other guy, Zach Stevens. I don't know. That's what I think happened, but this is a good album. And again, Zach Stevens is a good vocalist. I just prefer John Oliva myself. So we on number 5. Okay, well, actually, I'll do it like this. I forgot there was 2 albums I was wanting to combine into one. Number 5 and number 4. Okay, we'll just do that. This is number 5 and number 4. The Dungeons Are Calling and Sirens. Okay, so why am I combining these? Well, The Dungeons Are Calling is an EP. Sirens is their first full length. And what I understand is they recorded both these in one day. One day. If that ain't talent and knowing your stuff, I don't know what is. So originally, I guess Dungeons Are Calling supposed to be also a part of Sirens, like it was all going to be one album, but obviously there's limits to time on a vinyl, so they just decided to do it separate, which either way it works out, but they're really it's almost like a continuation of the same album. So I almost consider it as one in a sense. So 4 and 5, is one better than the other? Well, not really. Not really. They're just both pretty good. So I just kind of put them as kind of like an equal tie in a way. But yeah, I don't know. Like, these albums are a little bit more raw sounding, a lot more on the heavy side, really. Probably their heaviest albums. Probably. I don't know what to say. I don't know. Everything on here is pretty cool. Sirens, Holocaust, I believe. Rage is definitely a banger. I don't know. The whole thing's good. I like it. And of course, Dungeons Are Calling. The title track's great. By the Grace of the Witch, Visions, it's all good, man. So you can't go wrong. Just get them both. So that's 4 and 5. My third favorite, and this one hit me all at once, like this year. This was, like, oddly enough, my second Savatage CD. Okay, so I got into Hall of the Mountain King, and I loved it. And then I found this at, like, a Barnes and Noble or Borders or something. And I like, well, it's Savatage. That's cool. You know, it's got a little... It's kind of dark. It's got a ship on it, and it might be kind of epic. And I was like, dude, this sounds nothing like Savatage when I bought it. I kind of thought I threw my money away, and I was like, nah, this ain't Hall of the Mountain King. And I listened to it a couple times. I just thought it sounded like some kind of like weird rock. There's a different singer. It just didn't sound like anything that I, was expecting. So I put it on a shelf for years. I think I even sold it, and then I rebought it. I remember revisiting this like 5 years ago and thinking, you know what, that's a little better. And I remember, and then I get put it on the shelf again. And this year I got it out, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to listen to this. It's probably going to bore me to death. It's probably something I'm not into, and I don't know what it is. I just either had my mind opened, or I was just, I guess my expectations were so low that it blew my mind, because I actually think it's really good now. And if it wasn't for 2 other albums that are just so special to me, this could almost be my favorite at times. Like, I can't believe how much I actually like this now. It's very, very epic. And the album is called Wake of Magellan, which it's also a concept album, but I guess it has nothing to do with Magellan. I don't remember what the whole story is. I've read bits and pieces of it, and I forgot already. So I don't really care about lyrics and content like that as much as I do about the music. But no, the music here is very, very good. It can be very heavy. It's definitely more on the rock opera side, but man, the songwriting is good. Love everything about it. I love the way it sounds, the mix, the sound of the guitars. It's just so good and so epic. And I don't know. I just totally have flip-flopped on this one. But a part of me almost wanted me to put this as my favorite, but I kind of had to go with my gut and say no. But now my second favorite. And these are really close, by the way. Like, these first three are very, very close to taking the spotlight from each other. But I'm going to say my second favorite is Gutter Ballet. Again, this album was one, for some odd reason, I put off buying for a long time. I loved Hall of the Mountain King. I probably had Power of the Night and Sirens at the time. And, you know, to me, that was Savatage. This was called Gutter Ballet. Okay. The word ballet was in it. So I'm like, yeah, it's probably another, you know, boring rock opera or something. It's probably not very heavy. And then, like, it took me years to buy this, but I finally bought it probably 7-8 years ago, and oh my gosh, I could punch myself. This is basically Hall of the Mountain King Part 2. What I did not know is that the production is almost identical. This is probably a little less muddy sounding probably than Hall of the Mountain King, but the production is almost identical. Still got the same kind of like delays and reverbs and stuff like that. John Oliva's voice is exactly the same as Hall of the Mountain King. Yeah, there is a little more rock opera in it, like the song Gutter Ballet, but oh my gosh, like that's a song that's just so good on its own. It doesn't matter that it's got piano in it. It doesn't matter that it's not a super heavy song. It's one of the best songs I've ever heard. And like, seriously. And then you got songs that are like When the Crowds Are Gone, like little piano ballads like that. You know, these kind of songs can bore me. Like some of the 90s Savatage can bore me a little bit when they got too much of the piano ballad stuff going on. But this is a really good song. Like, ballads don't bother me as long as it's really good. And this album's a pretty good mixed bag. It's got your heavy stuff, but it's also got some experimental stuff on it. And man, I don't know, man. And I guess Paul O'Neill was also part of the reason why they kind of went with this rock opera thing. He's pretty much told them, it's like, okay, guys, you know, we've got something going on here, but I think you're not just another metal band. You're something more. So it kind of pushed John Oliva to use his piano talents and stuff like that. And oh man, I think it really, really, really worked out for him, in my opinion. Now for my favorite. And you know what? I hate sounding like everybody else. I've watched a few other Savatage ranking videos, and I'm not too far off from other people. Some things I differ on than others, but I have to put Hall of the Mountain King as my favorite. Only because when I think Savatage, I think this. Like, this is the album that got me into them. It just pretty much embodies what Savatage is to me. The guitar sound is great, just like this in Gutter Ballet. Some of the best guitar tones ever. John Oliva's voice is fantastic. He's doing a lot of high vocals and, you know, a lot of good screechy vocals and stuff like that. And, you know, the songwriting's so good. And Chris Oliva's riffs are so groovy on here. Like, I just love his riffs. And the overall atmosphere, man, like, just like the delays and the reverb's just done right. I mean, there's some people that hate that kind of thing, but I love it. I love the atmosphere. It's so 80s and awesome. And everything on here is pretty good. In my opinion. But the songs that I really go nuts over are 24 Hours Ago, Beyond the Doors of the Dark, Legions, and Hall of the Mountain King are like the four big songs for me on here. But honestly, the whole thing is good. Even the more commercial sounding rock song, Strange Wings, surprisingly, I like pretty well. It's not bad. Don't drag it down. It works. But yeah, so that's Savatage, guys. Just an amazing band. One of the best American heavy metal bands there ever was, and just one of the best bands there ever was in general. But in my opinion, they don't really have any bad albums. The closest thing to a bad album, obviously, I would say is Fight for the Rock, and even the band hates it. But even at that, there's still some good to it. So it just goes to show you how good this band is. And I like that they didn't try to do the same thing over and over like some bands do. They kept it pretty interesting. And word on the street is, word on the streets, that there's going to be another Savatage album coming out at some point. John Oliva says that it's probably going to be the very last one, unfortunately. But what I hear is it's going to blow our minds. That's what he's saying. It's just going to blow our minds, and I hope it does, because you know, John Oliva is just one of my absolute heroes, and a lot of bad stuff has happened in his life. I can kind of understand him wanting, you know, a lot of people. His brother. He lost his brother. I guess he lost. Did he like lose his son or something? Something like that. He lost like his dad. Like really, his dad and his son. He lost like really close together. So I really feel for the dude. I hope he gets healthy, man. He's a really cool dude. I just really respect him and appreciate what he's brought to the table. And his brother, Chris Oliva, rest in peace. Definitely one of the best guitarists that's ever lived. So there you go. There you have it, guys. Savatage, one of the best bands ever. I recommend checking out all their stuff. And keep it alive, guys. Keep it alive. Till next time.